Well, it's kind of funny, like when you talk about big tech and regulation, I think it's an interesting analysis to look at big tech and then the young emerging entrepreneurial businesses and that dynamic as it relates to regulation. So, for example, I believe that a lot of these big tech leaders, Zuckerberg, Altman, et cetera, are getting in front of Congress and calling to be regulated in a way that's totally disingenuous. Really, what they're looking to do is, I think they're saying, like, regulate us for quote unquote safety reasons. But in reality, they're just trying to stay the monopolies that they are. They want to grow their power. But effectively, that will have a chilling effect theoretically on the entrepreneurs, on the small businesses that will push our marketplace forward. So I'm curious, like, if you see that dynamic
I agree with most of that, but put yourself in Zuckerberg's shoes, right? So what was it? About 10 years ago, Congress starts inviting you in front of it and starts lambasting you for doing what you do and saying to you, we're going to crush you unless you change. We're going to regulate you. We're going to control you. We are not going to let you stay free. And Zuckerberg keeps hearing this message over and over again. He's trying to run a company. He's trying to do his best, and yet they keep coming after him. And they were after him, right? In 2015, 2016, Russian interference, all this stuff, whatever. And he's saying, look, I don't want any of this. I don't want politics. I'm not. And they're saying, doesn't matter. We're coming after you. So then he goes home and he says, okay, they're coming after me. What am I going to do? Am I going to just lay here like a nobody and let them, do whatever they want to me? Or am I going to try to mold this and shape this so that I can come out of it okay? And now, he could have maybe fought it, and I think he started to at some point, but he got crushed. He got crushed by the press, he got crushed by the public, and he got crushed by politicians. He decided, I can't fight them. I can't just roll over. So I'm going to try to manipulate them. And that's a choice he made. Is that the wrong choice? I would have loved to see him fight. I would have loved to have these. I mean, my dream is for Congress to invite one of these businessmen over and for the businessman to show up. And after the first question, to stand up and say, I do not recognize your authority to demand that I be here. I will not answer your questions. You don't know my business. You don't know anything about me. You're all a bunch of losers who've never employed anybody and who've never run a business. Who are you? Who are you to sit in judgment of me, turn around and walk out? Now, that would be an earthquake. I don't know any businessman with the balls to do it, not even Elon Musk. So, but it would be great to see. I mean, I remember during the great financial crisis, they called the bankers over, and the bankers would sit in front of Congress, and some congressman or senator would say, what about those collateral debt obligations? And I would love to one of those congressmen, one of those bankers to say to the Congressman, what is a collateral debt obligation? I mean, you're throwing this word around. Do you know what it means? And I'm willing to put money, as the congressman would have to then rush over to his interns and say, go check on Wikipedia what this is, because they have no clue what they're talking about. So my view is these businessmen are engaged in self-defense. They have to protect themselves, so they have to lobby. Now, when they do that, are they going to protect themselves against competition? Absolutely. And is that wrong and evil? Absolutely. But let's put the blame where it actually belongs. And the blame belongs with the politicians, and blame belongs with us, because we give the politicians the power. We give the politicians the authority. We cheer the politicians on when Katie Porter, that horrible human being, congresswoman from Southern California, who takes out that little whiteboard every time she's in front of a CEO and asks him these complicated questions and then doesn't let him answer the question and just paints him as just an evil bastard. These are horrible people that we have allowed to govern us. And, CEOs of big tech are doing the best that they can. And yes, they are going to manipulate the system to their favor. That's a tragedy, but that's a tragedy of the system we created. And it's a tragedy of a system our politicians are enforcing And our blame should be focused on our politicians, not on the business leaders.